must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good afternoon. A few minutes, about 2 minutes past 3 p.m. here in Nairobi. I trust that you're well. Good morning, good evening. This is Diaspora Dispatches. We get to bring you the latest from the continent of Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a warm welcome to you. We start our bulletin this afternoon from Mali, where the United Nations Security Council has renewed for a year sanctions imposed against targeted individuals and entities in Mali for obstructing the 2015 peace agreement. The sanctions include a year-long travel ban, an asset freeze to last until 31st August next year. They had been due to expire on today. Those targeted are accused of involvement in planning, implementing or perpetuating acts that violate international humanitarian law, including attacks on medical or humanitarian personnel. Human rights violations and abuses have increased significantly this year, according to the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the country. The UN Security Council requested that the UN chief include in his next report on MINUSMA an update on measures taken to ensure that sanctioned individuals did not benefit from any United Nations support in Mali. We head over to Niger, and a cholera outbreak has killed about 83 people in Niger, where authorities have recorded more than 2,300 cases since the 13th of March this year. Six out of Niger's 8 regions have been affected by the outbreak, which has been worsened by floods. A cholera epidemic was officially declared on 9th August by Health Minister Iliausu Mainasara. And then we go to Cameroon, where a Cameroonian priest has been abducted by separatists in the southwest of the country. Church officials say Bishop Julius Agbotoko was seized on Sunday by a group of young men demanding for ransom. Armed rebels have frequently kidnapped people, including religious leaders, since the separatist conflict began 4 years ago. English-speaking rebels have been fighting for independence after complaining of marginalization by the government. Both the Cameroonian military and separatist groups have been accused of countless abuses against the civilian population. The conflict has led to the deaths of thousands and has forced more than 700,000 people to flee their homes. That is according to reports by the United Nations. We head over to South Africa, where now researchers are monitoring a new coronavirus variant that has been found in South Africa. The C12, which has multiple mutations, has not yet been labeled as a variant of concern. Cases of the variant have been recorded in all provinces in South Africa and 7 countries in Africa, Asia, Europe, and Asia Pacific region. Scientists are analyzing how the variant responds to coronavirus antibodies. They are also studying its various mutations and the transmission. Maria van Kerkhove, a technical lead of the COVID-19 for the World Health Organization, said the variant did not appear to be rising in circulation. She added that the Delta variant was still dominant and that World Health Organization would inform people if that changes. And then we go to Rwanda, where in a court in France, the widow of the former Rwandan President Juvenal Habyarimana has lost her bid to stop judicial investigation into her alleged role in the 1994 genocide. Agathe Kanzinga is accused of being a member of the inner circle of the Hutus that planned the killings of around 800,000 people, mostly Tutsis as well as moderate Hutus. She has denied the accusations. Lawyers for the 78-year-old, who lives in the Paris suburbs, wanted the case dropped on the grounds that it had progressed so slowly. Correspondents say given her age and the pace of the investigation, it is hard to say when or if she'll ever come to trial. And then we go to Mozambique. The son of the former Mozambican President Armando Guebuza on Monday denied allegations that he took bribe to facilitate a $2 billion US secret government loan that plunged the Southern Africa country into financial crisis. Dubbing Guebuza is among the 19 high-profile defendants facing trial in a high-security prison in the capital Maputo over alleged links to a 2013 corruption case known as the Hidden Debt Scandal. He is accused of receiving $33 million US from an international shipbuilding group, Privinest, to convince his father, who was president at the time, to approve corrupt maritime projects. And then we come back to East Africa, this time in South Sudan, and the authorities in South Sudan have denied shutting down the internet and blamed a technical problem for the outage. A privately owned iRadio News there had reported. Internet monitoring site NetBlocks confirmed the internet disruption in South Sudan. Activists have been accessing social media sites using virtual private networks, VPN, according to South Sudan Tribune news site. Earlier this month, the People's Coalition for Civil Action, a coalition of civil society groups, called for protest to demand the resignation of President Salva Kiir and his government. Several activists linked to the group have been arrested and a local radio has been shut down. Although activists insisted the anti-government protest will still go ahead, there was no sign of them on the streets of Juba, and for the few who dared to show up, that was supposed to be happening yesterday, I think were dispersed and others were arrested. And then we head over to Uganda, and police in Uganda say they have arrested 15 suspects following a spate of killings in Masaka district, some 120 kilometers south of the capital, Kampala. All the suspects are from the local community, which has recorded 25 killings in the last month, the police said in a press briefing yesterday. The victims are aged between 50 and 80 years, with those living alone being most vulnerable, local news Daily Monitor reports. It reports that the killings had been going on despite a heavy presence of security officers dispatched to the district. And then we still staying around East Africa, and this time to Tanzania. And the leader of Tanzania's main opposition party appeared in the country's high court on Tuesday to face terrorism charges in a case described by his party as a politically motivated move to crush dissent. Chadema party chairman Freeman Mbowe and his supporters accused police of torturing him in custody to force him to make a statement in the trial, which opened under tight security, with most journalists banned from the courtroom by police. Mbowe, who has been behind bars since July 21st, when he was arrested along with other senior Chadema officials in a nighttime police raid just hours before they were to hold a public forum to demand constitutional reforms. The 59-year-old has been charged with terrorism financing and conspiracy in a case that has sparked concerns about the state of democracy and the rule of law under President Samia Suluhu Hassan. On Monday, Mbowe had appeared in court to pursue a case against top legal officials, claiming his constitutional rights had been violated during his arrest and when he was charged. And then we head over to Chad, and the chairman of the Chadian Transitional Military Council, Mohamed Idris Deby, on Monday visited Sudan in a bid to solicit regional support in rebuilding the North Central Africa state. The Sudan Sovereignty Council President Abdel Fattah el-Burhan met with Chad acting transitional military President Deby in his accompanying delegation at the Republic Palace in the capital, Khartoum. In a statement, Deby said his visit was also meant to strengthen the cooperation and relations between Sudan and Chad. Faced with related security issues, the two countries embraced the integration, concerted efforts and joint cooperation with the African Union in the field of border security, the fight against terrorism and the fight against cross-border security violations. Deby further stated they will intensify efforts to reinforce the security and stability of Sudan and Chad. And then we finish our bulletin this afternoon from Zambia, where new President Hakainde Hichilema has replaced the country's top military commanders and the head of police and signaled a focus on the security forces being more accountable to their citizens. The president late on Sunday announced new commanders of the Zambian Army, the Air Force and the National Service and their deputies, as well as the new Inspector General of Police. All regional police commissioners have been relieved of their duties, but their replacements have not been named. Mr. Hichilema said the new office bearers coronavirus must have the interests of the people at heart and serve the country diligently while ensuring human rights, freedoms and liberties are respected. He said the police must carry out proper checks before detaining suspects and that no one should be arrested before investigations are concluded. And that is what I had for you from the continent of Africa this afternoon. I think those spate of killings there in Uganda are worrying. And I think one of our viewers in the morning, during our morning show, raised that concern. And so perhaps that is something that the government might want to look at. And they're saying, despite there's already a heavy security presence in that area in Masaka district, and yet these killings continue. And now the police have arrested about 15 suspects so far, and 25 people have been killed in the last month. So that is worrying. So hopefully the police will get to the bottom of it. And they're saying there's beefed up security already in that area. So who could be carrying out, these killings, and what could be the motive of the killings happening there? So hopefully we shall be following the story, and we'll let you know as we get new information there from Uganda. Now, Tanzania, the main opposition, appeared in court today over charges that terrorism charges. I don't know if Tanzania even knows what terrorism is, because I don't know if it has suffered. Yeah, it did. When Kenya suffered in 1998, it was a twin terror attack in Kenya and in Tanzania. Remember the Al-Qaeda? That is when even Kenya, we were introduced, to terrorism, and it became a word that has now become a very a staple when you look at the security in this country because of the threats of Al-Shabaab in a neighboring country, Somalia. And so the Tanzanian opposition leader is being charged with terrorism, among other very serious charges. And so he appeared in court today. And perhaps people had thought that when President Hassan Suluhu, came in after the sudden death of her predecessor, John Pombe Magufuli, and when she started introducing these radical changes and sort of departing from some of the things and ideas and how Mr. Pombe Magufuli used to do his work, people thought that maybe now perhaps with all these, media freedoms, which if you look keenly, I think that was just not too much, She has not deviated way too much from what Pombe Magufuli used to do because, the government still has a very strong hold on the media in Tanzania, judging from how we've seen Suluhu act and some of the things that have been going on since she became president there in Tanzania. And something else that perhaps people thought would change is the democratic space in Tanzania, and just to allow dissent and to allow a vibrant, opposition to thrive in a country, and just to just allow some sense of democracy from, what is happening maybe here in Kenya or across other countries in Africa. But that has not to be, as now the opposition leader, he faced a lot of troubles during John Pombe Magufuli's time, and now during Samia Hassan's time, and now he's being charged by terrorism and financing and conspiracy in a case that has sparked concern about the state of democracy. I think Tanzania still has a long way to go. This story is here coming from Tanzania. I think that is Kenya in the mid-90s and early 90s, when the country was clamoring for a multi-democracy, which happened in 1992. And then later on, we went for, elections from there on after. So I think that is the space Tanzania seems to find itself there, except for Kenya. It was very, the leadership at that time was no joke. A former president, now late, Daniel Arap Moi, was no joke. And after that attempted coup in 1982, he became something else. And he had a very, he had a grip in what was happening in the country, and dissent was almost not allowed. But we saw, people like Raila Odinga, Matiba, who is now the late, even Kibaki himself and others during that time, really taking the fight to the president until some form of democracy and the voice of other people and dissenting voice was allowed, and a free media was allowed to thrive, and a civil society that, you know, was allowed to just operate in this space. And that's why we're enjoying, you know, what we're enjoying today here in Kenya in regards to with some freedoms which are not very apparent in a country like Tanzania or Uganda. Those are our neighbors here. And so Tanzania, I think, Samia Hassan, she's still quite early in her days as the president. So maybe we'll look to see if at all when it comes to democracy it will change, and if at all she will deviate further from what John Pombe Magufuli used to do and how he used to respond to opposition. And we're seeing this is not different. What government is doing now is not different from what used to happen then. So I don't know. And these charges that have been leveled against the opposition leader, do they have ground? You know, so let's see. He appeared in court today, so perhaps tomorrow I'll be here to tell you how, you know, that case, what happened really there. And concerns still continue in Cameroon, where abductions and human rights abuses are still quite a great concern, with the government being accused and also the separatists from the Anglophone region being accused in the equal measure. Both are being allegedly accused of committing atrocities that sometimes go on hurting the civilian population. I wish the crisis in Cameroon is something that would find itself in the United Nations Security Council and become a topic of discussion, as it is something that is, you know, should be given the attention that it requires. And these are just some of the conflicts that the world has forgotten about. And when we look at in the bigger scheme of things, you know, this is something that has now prolonged for way too long, and the humanitarian crisis continues, but it's not been given the attention that it requires, especially in the world organs like the United Nations Security Council. So perhaps that should be, and among other conflicts also we see in the continent, one of the things that you know, should be discussed. And also, just before I leave, the wife of the former president, Habyarimana of Rwanda, who died in that helicopter accident, plane accident. Him and the Burundian president at that time also died. They died together. That sparked days later the genocide in 1994 in Rwanda. So apparently she's being sought after by Rwanda, and her case has been stalled for quite a while now. She's 78 years old. Her name is Agathe Kanzinga, and she's being accused of being a member of the inner circle of Hutus that planned the killings of around 800,000 people, mostly Tutsis and moderate Hutus, during the 1994 Rwandese genocide. So she's being sought after, and correspondents say, given her age and the pace at which the investigations is going, it's hard to say when or if at all she'll make it. The trial will ever, you know, come while she's still alive. So, you know, but she has lost her bid. In France yesterday, she lost her bid to stop the judicial investigation into her alleged role in that genocide. So the judicial investigations have been ongoing, and according to her lawyers, they've been going on now for you know, a long time. And they're saying, hey, can you wrap this up? If nothing is being found that is related or that is pegged to her being you know, part of the organizers or knowing about this genocide in 1994, can we just drop this case? But that request was denied, and so the investigations, the judicial investigations, continue for the former widow of the former Rwandan president, Juvenal Habyarimana. Thank you so much. This has been Diaspora Dispatches. My name is Miriam Mugutu. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.
must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.